the understanding that development is taking place. As a matter of fact, that happens to all of us.
Yes, it is. That's right.
Happens to all of us. So, that is taking place. So you are able to, better deal with the situations and come. Of course, that is why we ask God always to give us the discerning spirit, so that we're able to discern.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Yes.
So very much. Good afternoon. Is it Dr. Mozart? I hope I pronounced your name correctly.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
And fellow colleagues, I believe it's important that we understand about human development as a teacher or a practitioner, because it allows for the most effective methods of teaching to be chosen, as opposed to just randomly using any method and it's not effective.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you, Nicolette. Alexia?
Good evening, everyone. I guess this is just a reiteration of what my colleague said before. So basically, I'm thinking along the line of, by understanding the stages of development, you are able to know the needs of who you are educating. So the needs will vary based on age and so forth, and then you will also understand the challenges that come, so you are better able to equip yourself to be a great educator.
All right. Jermaine?
Good evening, everyone. All right. I think that it is very important that as educators, the pace at which every child, everybody will learn on the same pace, and we ought to adopt the mindset that nobody should be left behind. So as educators, we should understand that, hey, not every child possesses the same ability to learn at a given pace. So therefore, we are able to adjust and adapt in a bit not to leave anyone behind.
That's right. All right.
Here come
Shanice.
Come in. Hi, good afternoon. There is someone trying to get into the meeting. Whoever is asking for a passcode to enter. Can I be provided with that number, please?
This. All right, Shanice, do you have a question on what I've asked?
No, miss.
Hello? Do you have an answer to the question?
No, miss, not no. It's just that someone reached out to me asking.
I heard you. All right. Is there anybody else who? Thank you, Shanice. Is there anybody else who wants to respond to the question? This is. I'm going to try to type the code there for you. Okay. Renice Young. Renice. Please go ahead.
yes, miss. I placed answers in the chat, but I'm just going to repeat what I said. So that's okay. So I was just saying, I think it helps us as educators or teachers to understand, that students they're always learning, they're continuously learning, and so we need to adjust our teaching methods to suit the needs of our students. And it also helps us to know what we should expect at different stages and just how we deal with that.
Wow, right. Okay, thank you. That is true. We need to know how people develop and why some things happen the way they do in order for us to be able to adjust and serve the students, our students better. Even if our students are adult learners, we need to understand how it works, how development works, how things affect people, so that we can we can reach out to them better, in a better way, in a more effective way. Please, do you have something?
Yes, I had asked for a passcode for the meeting. I didn't get a
I'm
response.
going to type the passcode in the chat. Probably you did not hear me. I was probably talking.
Oh, I didn't.
Low.
Sorry.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks much.
You're welcome. Please mute your line if you're not speaking. All right. So this is the reason why you are learning about, you are to learn a little bit about human development. It is because you need to have an idea of what's going on inside a human being in terms of their growth and development, socially, mentally, physically, and cognitively. That's very important. That's why you're doing this course. Okay? All right, please allow me to type this code here for this person so that I type it without making errors.
Okay. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10, 11, 12.
Okay, I hope this is the correct thing. All right, so we can try that. All right, so we are going to look a little at the, let me see if I can project. Are you still seeing the screen?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10,
Yes.
11, 12.
All right, so we're going to look at, before we go there are three key domains in human development. I said it before in passing, but you need to be aware, or you need to take a note of it. Those are physical domain, the physical domain, the cognitive domain, the socio-emotional domain, and some people call it the the word eludes me right now, but it will come back later. But some call it the socio-emotional domain. So changes occur in your body, in your intelligence, and the way you understand things, and the way you view things, and so on, and also in your emotions. Changes occur all the time. So there are three domains that we look at. Okay, somebody speaking? Okay. All right, so these domains, infancy and toddlerhood, let's look at that, birth to 2 years. Actually, the domains are infancy, let me see if I can show you, early childhood, middle childhood, adolescent, early adulthood, middle adulthood, and late adulthood. Okay, so those are the state, I don't want to call them stages, but you could call them stages of development, stages of growth, I guess. All right, so during infancy and toddlerhood, which occur from birth to 2 years, I want to go a little further back, although this is not, it's not going to be in your book, but infants, people, human beings begin to learn from from utero. They learn quite a number of things because the limbic system, who is in charge of all the emotions and so on, that's the first system that develops in the first system in a child in utero. The limbic system is the first one that develops. Okay, so the child is able to perceive and uh, react to the mother's emotions and the state of mind of the mother. Like for example, if the mother is very sad all the time, then the child that is going to be recorded in the child's limbic system.
Hi,
All right.
Jamaica speaks.
So this is just a little addition to what is going on with the physical and emotional and cognitive development of a child in utero. All right. So we have the physical rapid growth. Um, that's what happens first. That's what you see first. Of course, in these books, and the way you see this on the slide, it seems as if those things happen in isolation,
Hello.
like the physical grows first and the cognitive,
Yeah,
then
and it's
the
pretty
psychosocial afterwards. Those things really develop
serious time.
simultaneously, sort of. All right, so while the body is growing, the cognitive is developing as well, and all of that, the psychosocial as well, is developing almost at the same time. All right, so don't think that it is a stage matter. It's not a stage matter. It's not a phase matter either. It is happening almost at the same time. Those things. All right. Any question about infancy and toddlerhood? Remember, I said we're not going to spend a lot of time on those things, and you need to take the book and read more about them if you want to know more about them. All right. No question? All right, so let's move on. The next is the early childhood level, where the early childhood phase, I should say, where children 3 to 6 years develop in terms of
What are you
their
listening? So
physical
I'm in class
and
at the
gross
moment.
motor development
So
and their intellectual cognitive development
to be honest, I'm not really
and so
paying much
on.
attention. I don't know what.
What happens at this stage is that the child now is getting to speak, start to speak much better. Actually, there are some children who speak much earlier than 3 years old. I know some people on the line who may have um, met a child who is less than 3 years and speaks quite a lot already. Um, so it depends on the child, of course. It depends on genetics and all kinds of things. The rate of development of a child depends on a lot of things, just the child's environment, the child um,
The link
genetics,
is
the
not
child
leading me. It's just leading
um,
me to the general team site.
exposure
Can you take a screenshot of the
to
item, please?
things. All right. So and the child's nutrition as well. All of that has an effect on a child's development. All right. Now, I want to talk a little bit about this here. Let me go back up. Number 3, psychosocial development. A child from birth to years old has to develop trust. And this is, it is true.
What's up?
It is true
What's up
because it's
now going
biblical
on
true.
here?
There is a
We're in
verse in the
class
Bible that says you have taught me
trying
to
to
trust when
understand
I
what
was
is
on my
going on.
mother's
To be honest, my
breast.
brain
And this
have
is
all the
really the
place right
truth,
now.
that when
So I
children
don't really know
are
what's going on.
nurtured correctly, their needs are met, they tend to develop trust. When babies, I should say, when the needs of the baby are met, then the child learns to develop trust. If not, for example, the child is needs to be changed and nobody's changing that. That pamper is always at the child's knees. Nobody's changing that pamper. The child is hungry and he has to put on a tantrum before he gets something to, he or she gets something to eat. The child is dirty. I mean, the needs of the child are not met. But no one has to jump as soon as a child makes a sound. That is not what we're saying.
Oh,
What
alright.
we're saying is children learn to trust if their needs are met in a reasonable way and in a reasonable time. They develop trust in, they develop hope then in life. Otherwise, they start to mistrust life and people, and they begin to develop structures to protect themselves, to stay alive, and so on. Okay, so there is a problem if trust is not developed. And I'm stressing on this because many persons here on the line may be teaching students who are in primary school or in high school who have had who have never developed trust when they were babies, and so it becomes a problem when they grow up. Okay, so I want you to. Anybody wants to react to that? Have you ever come to meet, or have you ever met a child, or have you ever seen a child who is not being cared for? Have you ever had to call to something to someone to take care of the child, take out the picnic, give the picnic some food? Or no hand? Okay, I see. Amika, tell us about it.
Yes, I have. In the case of two of my godsons, for example, I'm much of a nurturing person. I like when they're clean, comfortable, well fed. So there are some instances where I have to say, you know, the baby is crying because they're hungry and you need to get them something other than snacks or so on. So usually I find that when I'm around them, they are much more comfortable and calm because I always make sure that whatever it is that they need, they have it in a timely manner. Not to say that if they cry, I give them everything, no. But I also establish the fact that if you are hungry,
Yeah.
at the drop of a hat, you will get what you need. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you for sharing that with us. Abigail, I see your hand.
Yes, miss, I've equally experienced something similar to that where a young child was at a a mother was with a young baby at the wholesale place, and she didn't hold the baby properly, and the baby neck kind of twist a bit, and I had to say, you can hold the baby neck, give the baby neck some support, because the baby was crying and she was just shaking the baby, hushing the baby, not realizing that then the baby neck wasn't set properly. So yes, that was one of the instances, and another one was with my niece where anytime she's not, you can know when she mess up herself because the minute something happened she started to cry. And yes, so paying attention to those cues as well.
That's right. All right, thank you for sharing those things. It's important that children learn. I'm stressing this number 3 here because it is so very important. The development of attachment and security. That's really, really important. In in the eyes of children, in the eyes of children, their parents are God. You take the place of God in the eyes of a child. All of their needs are satisfied by you, the parent, the caregiver. And so when they look at you, when they interact with you, when you interact with them, you do not interact in a way that is kind and reasonable. The child will develop uh, a picture of God that is not right. For example, if a child has to cry for long periods of time before he or she gets some food to eat, and I'm not talking about a bag of sweetie or a bag of chips, real food that nourishes them. If a child has to cry for long periods of time before somebody
Hi, Jerry.
gives him something, or the caregiver gives eat, the child will develop a skewed perception of who God is. This child may grow up thinking that God does not care, or God does not hear when he or she is in distress. And there are some adults who have come to adulthood, some persons who have come to adulthood with this false idea that you have to scream at God for him to hear. And so I am stressing this number three here. It's very, very important that the caregiver um, presents him or herself in a way that is compatible to who God is. God is a loving God who takes care of his children. All right, so whether mother or father or whoever, as long as the person who is taking care of the child is reasonable, this is going to help this child very, very much to grow up with a correct picture of who God is. Anybody wants to react to this, or should I continue? I don't know if you have thought about this, but not many people talk about this, but this is really crucial. All right. All of the other things, if you look at number one, this happens by itself, Child grows, starts to crawl, walk, whatever. If he's fed properly, he's going to
It's
walk or crawl, right? That's happened by itself. Number number two, yeah, by itself too. Whatever comes in his hand, he's going to feel it and learn through the senses. So if you touch the child or if you talk to the child, he's going to learn through his senses. Yes, it happens naturally. Number four, first words will come out because the child is hearing what you're saying or around him and so on, and the object permanence thing, which means that when the child sees something, if you put something in in view of the child and you cover it with a sheet of paper, for example, the child will start developing the thought that the thing is still there behind the sheet of paper. It hasn't disappeared, it's not gone. So that's something that starts to develop in the brain of the child at around 3 years old. Right? So the child will look behind to see what I'm to it. It will go
Hi,
and see because they saw it before. So
how
that
was your
starts to
day?
develop
I'm in
now.
class right now, so I'm a bit
And
locked in on
independence,
it.
all of that
But
will
what
come
are you doing?
naturally. But number three, sorry, does not come naturally. Trust does not develop naturally. It has to be intentionally done, right? Okay. So early childhood to 3 to 6 years old. Yeah, early childhood. All right. So the child continues to grow. The gross motors and fine motors actually continue to grow. The cognitive development continues. Language increases. Um, yeah, I see egocentrism here. Yeah, this is true, sort of. I also see psychosocial initiative versus guilt. I'm going to come back to this because these things, this one here, is very important, just like the one before. So the physical will happen by itself. If the child is fed, the child will grow, the physic will grow. Um, the language will develop by itself if you talk around him and so on, or her, it will develop by itself. Um, but psychosocial, the initiative will not develop by itself, and the self-control will not develop by itself. So those two at the bottom here, the child will need help to develop these, um, to develop safe, to be safely developing those things. So you see, initiative versus guilt. It means that if the child is um, experimenting with something, and some children are curious, and so on. There are some adults who come around children and shame them for what they are doing, or beat them, or disabuse the child because the child is at a place where the adult doesn't want the child to, or whatever is happening. Children at this stage must must explore. That's what they do best. They explore, they go around, they check things, and they have to be
Yes, that happens, that
safely
happens to me when I'm
encouraged
sharing the
to
link as well.
safely
That's
do
what I'm
those
saying.
things,
If you can take a
exploring.
screenshot of
It
the
is,
item
it is
whenever the phone
important
allows you to, so we can
for
just
them
search for it.
to
Because some of the
develop
time
this
when you
initiative.
share it, it just
If
leads
they
us straight to the
don't,
app itself and not
they
the
will develop
product that you
guilt,
want.
and there are lots of children who develop guilt, a lot more than you can think about, more than you can think. Because of what? Because they are ashamed at home. You can't do nothing right. You you just get this and thing drop and break and whatever, and we make a big deal um out of nothing really. Um, so we have to be understanding that we make mistakes every day. As adults, we make mistakes every day. There is not one adult on this life, one person on this line who is free from sinning every day. And if we sin every day and God does not shame us, God comes to our rescue and helps us out. This is the same thing that we should do for our children. Instead of shaming them and putting them down or telling them things that are terrible, we need to help them to grow, help them to develop, and forgive them, because they just don't know what they're doing. They are actually children. And so please keep that in mind, that in order for a child to relate well to their heavenly Father, they need to learn to relate well to the adult, and the adult has to relate well to the child. All right, so of course the language will develop, and we said all of that. But self-control has to be taught to a child. That is a key task really, and it comes, you know, the implementation of all these things. Gross motor. They will climb, draw, do all those things. So they need to to have self-control, because they can't. It's not because they know how to draw now and they draw better that they will take a marker and draw all over your walls or whatever. In other words, they cannot climb the white guinea tree because they can climb. So while the physical is growing, the self-control must be taught to them. They must learn that if you do something that is out of the way, you will be punished. You have to learn to control yourself, because if you don't control yourself, you will be a menace to yourself and to others. So it's very important for them to learn from the adult self-control. However, if adults do not have self control, if adults react instead of think before they act, then the child will not develop this very, very well. So we need to think about that. Any reaction so far? I don't want to be the only one speaking. You can put up your hand if you have something coming to your mind. Anybody on the line did not know about these things that I'm speaking about now? This is common knowledge, but probably somebody never heard and is happy to hear these things. So let me know. Joylene, you have something on your mind?
The hand was up before, but I'm in agreement with you. I teach grade 7 at high school, and you can know a child who is in a safe environment, who is in a home with parents who they trust and who feels loved, and you can see the comparison to another child who is maybe living with a grandmother, father is not around, mother is not. You can see the disparity between the two. So you are very, very right when you're talking about this, because you can see the difference between those two sets of children. So it's very, very important. It makes a difference.
All right. Yes. Thank you, Joylene, for sharing. Keyon?
Yes, good night again. I do know of the theories, but the connection that I heard you made just now, I have never thought of it in that way. You're talking about the psychosocial trust versus mistrust, Erickson's theory, and you were saying that the caregiver is actually showing how God loves. And the thing that stood out for me was when you said that if it is that we are not taking care of these babies, because that's the baby stage, then they would grow up with a false sense of who God is. And that really stood out for me, because usually when I look at this theory, I would look at it in terms of worldview, in terms of mistrusting other people, which is part of the theory, but I've never made the connection to God. So that's really nice.
Well, praise the Lord for that. Keyon, what's on your mind? Where's Keyon? Keyon disappeared?
No, I just spoke.
Okay. That was your hand.
Yeah, that's me.
Okay. All right. So I hope you are taking note of the important things that you need to remember as a teacher in the classroom with your students. All right, so we are 3 to 6 years. All right, now the person is a little older. Actually, from 3 to 6,
Very wonderful to see how it's
children
really
are
enough. My
already
day
in
was
school
okay.
where
It
they
was a
should
very
not be. They should not be in school so young. But for some
like
reason that you
demanding
probably
day, I
can
guess.
tell me about
But
later,
it was fine.
we are putting our babies in the care
Tomorrow is gonna be
of
somewhat the same
other
thing.
people
But we're okay.
and their
We're
own
ready for
issues,
that.
and sometimes are ungodly. We put our children in the care of strangers when God gave us the mandate to take care of our babies. They should be home until they can speak and reason out a little bit. They should not be out of your sight. But this is how this this society has
It bad.
devolved, I should say, to this stage where this stage, yes, where parents no longer take care of their children. They leave them in the care of strangers. And a child who cannot speak himself cannot tell you what it is that is wrong in his environment, in the environment where you leave him or her, cannot explain. All is suffer in silence. And often the child doesn't even realize that it is he or she is being violated, or not violated in terms of his needs not being met and the caregiver not doing what he or she is supposed to do and all of that. But the child cannot tell you. When you come, the child is clean, his nose is white, and he's ready to go home with his backpack. Often, parents know nothing of what is going on because, well, they just can't know. You can't know because the child cannot tell you. I see Kayon's hand. Go ahead, please.
Oh, yes, I am so much in agreement with that because I've been saying it. And I was saying to somebody the other day that if I should find myself in the position of being a parent again, I wouldn't want my child to go to school until they are at least 7. Now, it is said that from 0 to about 7 years old, the child's brain is more like a sponge. But then, because of the society that we live in, we have to send these children out to hear the worldview of other people. And I remember.
You don't have to. You don't have to. I have to plug that in. You don't have to. You want to. That's a different matter.
Yeah, that's true. But sometimes because of financial constraint, we send them out.
You still want to.
Yeah. And I remember when my daughter was in basic school, she came home one day and she said to me that she wanted to lick her vagina. But the thing is that when we talk about lick, we usually talking about using a hand to slap. So in my mind, I was thinking that's what she was. So I said to her, "How would you want to do that?" And then only to realize that she was thinking about using her tongue.
Something else, yeah.
Right. And when I found out it's really from another child that she learned it from. And when we went to the school, we realized that that parent said that she cannot say that my child didn't learn it from her child because she goes to work, leave her child with some other persons who they don't care about what they're saying around her child. And so when we expose our children at such a young age, the foundation, the building block of a child's future, in essence, then we realize that our children grew up learning a whole lot of things that they shouldn't have been exposed. And I think it's also the time that we need to also teach them about God more, building their belief system, building their value system. And we're not able to do that because our children are going out and their brains are being filled with other things.
That's right. Well, thank you for sharing this.
Excuse me, Miss Nicole. Hi, good night.
Yes, good night. Who is that?
I'm Onistia. I'm Onistia. Okay, so
where's your hand? Where's your hand? Onistia?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't get the memo because I joined late.
You just come. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I think Kayan mentioned something about the child in the home, and you said that she wants to, right? That's what you said. She wants to leave she wants to put the child in the caretaker's care, right? That's what you said?
No. Sorry.
What did you say? No, not you, Ken. I think Miss was saying, you said we don't have a choice, and I think Miss was saying we had a choice.
Yeah, we always have a choice.
Miss, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So how are we going to go to work with the baby when our employers don't facilitate it? Are you saying we're not supposed to work until the child becomes 6 or...
Onisia, it is the way life is now because we have succumbed to the conditioning of the world. But a baby is not supposed to be in the care of other people unless the parents are dead or something, you know?
I understand what you're saying, Miss. Because for me, honestly, what you said a while ago, it had me thinking. Why? I have a daughter, right?
Yeah.
She is 4 year old. I don't want to use the word corrupt, but you know, to me, I concrete some stuff for me been a think all along. Because sometimes I feel like, okay, I need to take a break from my job so I can spend some time with my child. So my daughter is 4 year old. She's not she's not talking like, you know, the regular, we call them chatty mouth babies. You know, she's just saying a few words. She's 4 years old. And sometimes I get really scared. Say, all right, then if somebody abused her, me no know, you know, because she can't come home and she can't tell me. And when you said that tonight, like me don't know if you explain it, but something me feel one week and I say, oh my God, what if that happen? Because today I went to work, get home from work, then I go pick her up, right? She had a little bruise. So she can't tell me, say, Mommy, I dropped my drop her, somebody push me. So I asked the little toddler, I said, what happened to her? She said she dropped me. I said, what she dropped? So the little baby said, you know, she walked from where she was and she points right here. So in my head, I said, all right, then baby, no tell lie. Because that's what I believe. I don't think babies tell lie unless, you know, some adults say that unless somebody make them tell lie. So she said she dropped right here. So she went to the area that the baby fell and pointed her hand like, you know, she said yes, no. So, all right, then fine. And the baby hand was burning her, so she keep on, you know, rubbing in her. She now say, Mommy, it's a burn. You just say, who? But me say, oh my God, what if somebody, you know? Push her and me don't know, but me I say, because the little baby tell me, believe. But my baby can't tell me, say, then, Mommy, I drop for true, or somebody push me. But because of the little baby tell me, believe. And these are things that I've been thinking about. Say, you know, wonder who me send around, because some persons may say then we're superstitious because they believe, say, you know, certain things happen and stuff like that. But me I say, what if me send around people? You know the way they should not go round too early and stuff like that. And honestly, as young K and there start talk, I'm like, Jesus, is this a sign? Because I just don't know. Because the thing, it dawned on me to say, you know, all right, this is it. I'm going to take a break for this baby.
Yeah, listen. I'm hearing your passion. But you know, you should not allow yourself to develop any despair because you don't want to do things rashly. You don't want to act in a rash way. Of course, it is possible for us to leave our children in the care of others. Is when, because life has changed so much and we have pivoted towards materialism. It's true. The society is a very materialistic society now. We tend to feel that if I don't work, if I don't work, I won't have the things that I want to have, and so on. But there is also the fact that this life has trapped us. The society has trapped us in a vicious cycle. So I'm hearing you loudly and clearly. We all have a problem, but we remember that our God is bigger than our problem. So if when we have a problem, we just go to God with it. You know, that's how we're supposed to go. If we have a problem, we go to God with it and we say, God, I have this problem. I believe that your blood that you shed on Calvary is enough to help me solve this problem. You came down to die for me. And so I come to you because you invited me to come and to tell you, you said, cast your burdens at my feet and I will take care of you. So I come and I give you my problem, help. I need help. And God will answer, but we have to believe, you know? We just have to believe.
Miss, as I said before, I don't know if it's a coincidence, but literally, like, everything that you're saying here, that's what my cousin said to me maybe like a week ago. She said, like, this is the way I have to ask God for it. And when we ask God, we have to actually believe, say, in God answer we.
So right, so the Spirit is speaking. Thank you, Alicia. Nicolette, I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I totally agree with what you're saying. I took the liberty of just going through, just searching the internet to find out what's happening worldwide with regards to paid maternity leave. And well, we know in Jamaica, some organizations will just stop at two
Yes,
months
either
for
that or
the
we'd have to
maternity
like
break.
download them and
For
send them to
paid
me one by
maternity
one, which
leave,
is a
and
lot of
others may
work.
go up to three.
So whenever
And
you're
in
free
recent
or
years,
whenever
they
she
have
gives you
approved some
access to
time
do so.
for paternity leave. And so there are so many factors that would have caused us to take a decision that, okay, after 3 months, a break, or if we take the vacation leave, then the child would need to go into a daycare or some care facility or something of the sort. Internationally, though, outside of Jamaica, I have seen where in there are other countries that pay 90% of you pay for 58 weeks, and that's in Bulgaria, and like Norway, 49 weeks. So Jamaica being a third world country, and I'm assuming that the majority of us, if not all of us, are from Jamaica, we are placed in a predicament. Unfortunately, my personal experience was somewhat different. I wasn't sure what was happening at 4.5 weeks when I was ready to return to work, having had my daughter some 17 years ago. But I did not want her to go anywhere without her being able to speak. So I took the decision for her to be to be cared for in the home by my mom, and I wasn't trusting anyone else because my trust is with my mom. And when she was able to speak and have good conversations, was when I placed her in a very, I carefully placed her in a secondary socialization space, a school then. Because I do believe strongly that the primary source of socialization, which aids in all these things we're speaking about, no trusting and all of that, is the family from a scriptural perspective, from a spiritual perspective, and we can see that based on the evidence we're seeing in the society today. So I agree with you 100%.
That's right. That's right. Well, that's very, very, very important. People remember, think about those things. Thank you, Nicolette. All right, so let's move on a little bit more into the matter. And thank you for responding. It's very important that you share your thoughts. It's very important. Okay, so from 3 to 6 years, we spoke about this, the self-control. Don't forget the self-control. All right. And in order to, I want to underscore the fact that if children do not experiment and observe these things, they will not be able to display these things. They have to observe them in the adults or in those who are taking care in order to display those things. I've seen a lot of parents who lack self-control, demand self-control of their children. Now, this is not possible. It's not possible. It is confusing to a child because they don't know what it is. You do not display self-control. How do you expect me to display self-control? Take care of your neighbors. I can see that when you there's never a time when you talk about them, pray for them, speak with them. I don't see we live in this house and we don't interact with anybody around here. How do you develop social interactions? I have to see those things. I have to experience them in order to develop them. Remember that. All right, so let's go to the next one, which is middle and late childhood. Okay, so middle childhood, 7 to 12 years old. So 12 years, it will be late childhood. All right, so the physical, of course, that happens, by itself. The cognitive will happen I don't want to say just by itself. It needs to be, well, it will develop by itself. It will develop, whether to a
Hi.
low stage or to a high stage, but it will develop. The psychosocial, however, again, is a place where you need to pay close
I'm so
attention.
sleepy.
All right, so if you don't allow the child to do things for him or herself, like for example, brush his teeth, even if he is not doing it properly, let him do it. Let him try things. He wants to sweep. The broom is much taller than him or her, but he or she wants to sweep.
Let him
Encourage
sleep.
it. Do not say, no, you can't do it. Put that down and whatever. Encourage the industry. Let them become more industrious. They want to help to cut the potatoes. All right. You're not going to give them a knife that is going to cut them. Give them a little plastic knife that has no teeth and let them play with the potato in there. They feel as if they are helping. You know, you need to encourage those things in order for them to develop. They will not develop by themselves like the cognitive and the physical. They will grow bigger, but they won't be industrious. They will be lazy and they will not know how to do anything because you did not encourage it. You did not teach them how to do those things. All right? If they are taught and encouraged, they will develop industry, meaning when they are a little older now, they will be
Hi.
able
When
to
is part
help
3?
around the house much
Well,
better without too
we're
much
just doing part 1
supervision.
and 2
They will be able to
tonight.
actually
I
take
have like 1 hour left
initiative
of class, so
and do things and surprise you. Like for example,
trying to keep up.
prepare breakfast for you in bed on Mother's Day, and you will be surprised that this child is so young. He's just 7 or she's just 7, but he or she can, warm up the water and not burn him or herself, and prepare the toast and so on. That is remarkable. Why? Because you encouraged it and because you taught them how to do it correctly. So they develop competence in doing those things. All right. And also, I want to add, don't compare your child to anyone. Your child is your child.
What that
Don't
fear is
compare
about.
your
So this is,
students
sorry,
in
me just feel
four,
sleepy
let's
today.
see, grade
So this
six
are like
one
post
to
grad
those who are in
series.
grade six
Hello.
B. Don't
Where
compare your
we
children
do
who are
classes.
in
Benji, now
grade
pay
one
attention.
to
Mr.
those who are
Starting
in
January 5, I
grade
have
two.
classes every
Don't
day.
do it. Do not
5:30 to
compare
8:30.
your
So we're
children.
gonna join. Come on,
Each
study together, do work
person
together.
is
Whatever the case may be.
unique
So that's the whole
and
thing
must
with
be
this series.
treated
Like study
on
with
his
me,
or
go
her
classes, do
own
the assignments and
merits.
stuff. Yeah.
All right. Now, for the education part, of course, you know that I already have a problem with children in school so young. I don't believe that when children go to school, they they do much better than those who stay home and learn the same things, or probably much more than what is taught at school. I personally do not believe that. I believe that children who stay home are much better developed if the parents are attentive to their development. They develop much better, they learn much more, they are more balanced in their academics, and they are more, if the parent is godly, they understand much
Me
more
saying you
about
want me
how
to dip on
things
your cup.
operate
Me
in
no
terms
sleep.
of um,
Me
how
no
the
sleep.
world operates based on
Innocent
what
mate.
God did
Hello, Liam.
in creating it and how it works. They develop much more and they are better balanced in their understanding of life when they stay home and learn from their parents When Jesus was 12 years old, he was already challenging doctors of the law. They sat down and listened to what he was saying at 12 years old. How is that possible when Jesus put foot?
Hi.
How is that when Jesus was in
So
the
Bridget
wilderness
Natem away today.
and he
Nathaniel,
was
how are
tempted?
you? How was your
He could
day?
just spit out Bible verses.
Um,
How is it when he
Didi.
never went to the universities of his time? How is it? We need to
We can't
we
stop
need to
yan.
think on
Hi.
these things,
We can't stop
and
yan. My looks pretty.
reflect on them. So when we talk about education
So pretty.
here, education should
I
not
remember going nice. Every day I go
ever,
river and drive out.
ever
I see you with some
only
catch back your
focus on
ears. Where you do
academic
with that?
skills. Education is supposed to be wholesome, meaning that it encompasses every aspect of life. So if a child learns to read, a child learns about his or her maker through reading, not about fictional authors who have nothing to bring to the child. If the child is learning about mathematics, the child is learning mathematics while learning about how God operates using mathematics. The child is supposed to develop, learn about his world, how the world operates, geography, history, all of those things should be based on the word of God. So when that
No, other
child is
asthma
out,
thing.
he would be
Which asthma
just
thing?
like Jesus was
It
at
look like
12 years old. However, this is not what happens at school. I see Simone's hand. Simone?
Yes. So, what came to mind while you were speaking just now is that it's important for at each of the developmental stages that you've been talking about, coming up from birth to now, late childhood. It's important that all of these areas, each of the areas at the first,
from
second, third,
yesterday.
each of the earlier stages that we
Me see it
fine tune
already
them,
and you
or
can't
we
delete it. Me
ensure
see it
caregivers
already.
ensure that these areas are fine tuned,
We are,
because if
yeah,
if
be
if
honest
it's
and me
not,
I
if
delete
that
it back.
competence or that their psychosocial skills aren't developed, like the sensory motor skills, then it's going to impede the next developmental stage that follows. Right? So I think it's important that at each of the developmental stage, we focus on ensuring that the child reaches a level of competence, so that when they graduate to the later developmental stage, they can carry over the foundation that they've learned into the other stage.
That is important. Indeed, Simone, that was you. Okay, that was important.
Yes.
That is important. But you need to remember that some things actually happen by themselves. You can't stop the physical development of a child unless you deprive the child of food. You cannot stop the physical development of a child. A person will grow whether or not the person has a relationship with God or a caring parent. The person will grow anyway. The person will grow crooked, but I mean not physically, but the person will grow and develop, right? So we have to remember that. So
I guess I'm thinking, like, in terms of we want them to, okay, so we want them to be healthy
Big and serious,
cognitively,
man. I
or we
just
want to be healthy
curiosity not the reach. Me
psychosocially.
honor them
So
talk
I'm
up
I'm
today,
I'm,
you know
I'm
that.
thinking on that level. So even, yes, I know that we should focus more
Yeah, I
on the
like
areas
show.
that that don't develop innately. But even those areas that do, we still have to support that level of development so that they reach the optimal that they can reach. So even though the physical, maybe one child's physical development is not the same as another, but if you're supporting, you're doing your best in supporting all of these different areas of development, it's important when they move on to the next. Yeah.
Absolutely. You have to do your part in terms of feeding. That's what I was saying to you. That's what I was explaining. You have to do your part in giving the child what he or she needs in order to develop properly. But what I'm saying though is that whether or not you are feeding the child nutritious food,
I kind of went out. Hi. Hey. She went out.
automatic. It has to be intentional, much more intentional than
You're breaking up, Doc. You're in and out.
I am in and out. Okay, yeah. Are you doing better now? Hello?
Yes, you are.
Hearing you now.
Yeah, the internet went a little for a minute or so. I'm saying everything is very important, but some things are not automatic, like physical growth. I hope I'm making that clear. All right, Jermaine.
Doc, this is something that I've observed as it regards to the educational aspect of a child. Parents make, if for example they have two children and one is ahead of the other, sometimes as parents they tend to place let me say this, an unrealistic expectation of that child based on the where the child is in his or her development. But we need to understand that children learn at different pace and different stage of their lives, because it's something that I've witnessed firsthand, where a colleague of mine, her daughter was miles ahead of the son, and she keep wondering what's going on, and she started to apply a lot of extra pressure on that child. I had to step in because personally, I wasn't developed until late in my life, and I had to step in and say, look, that child, do not give up on that child, because that child will develop at some stage. And I can tell you, that child who was lagging behind is now, is almost complete medical support. So a lot of times we tend to, push these child, not understanding that, hey, every child learns at a different pace, and we can find ourselves in.
Yes. Compare children. I said that before, I said, do not compare your children. Don't compare your students to anyone.
Right. Because, I had to step in, Doc, because, like I said before, I was at a stage where I would call myself, I consider myself unable to learn. I wouldn't say dunce. I had the difficulty in grasping certain things until I was like in my like early teens. That's where I started to develop. So I had to step in and say, hey, this child will develop at some stage. And no, she that child that was ahead is way behind.
That's very interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. And this is underscoring. You see, you have your own experiences, and you can see that a lot of what is being shared here tonight is really what really happens. You have to be very careful of how you um we have to be very careful of how we treat learners. And I'm talking about children here, but all we have to be careful of how we treat them. There are very many instances in the Bible where God had to teach adults, and he used the route of kindness to teach them. Many instances where they came to him for help, and he actually used kindness. He used ways that his father told him, okay, this is what is going to work for this person, and that's what he used. So we have to also take that same approach. So when your child is 12, when a child is 12 years old, the child should already have a sense of his purpose in this life. The child should already have been, the child's hand should have already been put in God's hand, so that the parents take a back step and allows the child to be led only by God. No, one step back, not totally back, but one step back, because the aim of this training is to help the child develop his own relationship with God. So once a child is now 12, the child should know what his purpose is. Remember, they came looking for him, thinking that he was lost. What he did is his story. Are you looking for me? Didn't you know that I have to be looking after my father's business? That's what he said at 12 years old, so he knew his purpose. There are many students now, young children, who have no clue. They have no clue what the word purpose means. All right? I see Shani.
So a personal experience for me. So I had my son at 6 months. I had him when I was 6 months pregnant, so he's a preemie.
Wait. You had a child when you were 6 months old?
6 months pregnant, sorry. 6 months pregnant. Sorry. I had him at 6 months.
Okay, so
okay. Yes. So while he was in hospital for like over a month and so forth. So after he came out, I was encouraged to. I had to sit him up in bath before he can sit up. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. When it's his time to do so, he will. And a little after that, he started to sit up by himself. I was encouraged to buy a walker to help him walk because he's preemie, so it takes longer. I didn't do that, and afterwards he started helping himself up and start taking steps, and he fell and then he got to it and then he started walking. I was encouraged to do a lot of things,
I'm very happy to hear you.
I was encouraged to do a lot of things to help him grow and to develop. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do any of those things. I'm going to leave him to do whatever he wants to do at his own time. I'm not going to rush the process, because whatever he needs to do in his time, he will do. When I bring him to the clinic and they map the growth chart, they were like, yes, but he's doing what he's supposed to do. I'm like, yes. I was here, patting myself on the shoulder and like, yes, see, do. If me did follow people and listen to them, probably he would not do all of these things, but he did everything on his own timing. I was encouraged to help him and so forth to speak. I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. He started to speak by himself. When you're ready, in come mommy. please, juice, please, or mommy,
Mm-hmm.
snack,
That's
please,
it.
whatever I want to
That's it.
say. He's 2 years old now, so he's
Mm-hmm.
doing everything that he's supposed to do on his own timing.
Praise the Lord. I'm happy. I'm happy that you had enough sense. I mean that let me say
Yes,
it another way. Let me say it another way. I'm happy that you allowed the Spirit of the Lord to speak to you so
yes,
that you did not traumatize your child.
yes,
Because
yes,
there are a lot of theories out there which I do not agree with. There are
yes,
many theories. There's a lot of knowledge, quote so-called, out there issued from research, quote unquote, which I do not believe. I believe what God says in His Word, and that is what stands.
so
So
true.
you allowed God to inspire you to do something as the mother of the child, and the child thrive. That's it. They just need love, LOVE. That's all a picking need. Even if he was born at 4 months, he just need love. I don't think he would survive at 4 months. Um, you know, but don't know if they survive so young. But there are some miracle things that have happened, you know. So yes, listen.
Good night, everyone. Just want to add to the story that was just told. I have a 2-year-old as well, and when he turned 2, I brought him to the pediatrician, telling the pediatrician, "Oh, the baby's not talking, and I'm wondering if something is wrong." He is afraid of the doctor. Whenever we're there, he cries. And in that moment, he started crying, and he was like, "Help me, help me." So the pediatrician was like, "I thought you said he wasn't talking." I'm like, "Those are just 2 words. I didn't think that was good enough."
What was it?
What do you want him to do? Have a full blown conversation?
Exactly.
But sometimes, as parents, I have to say I fall short there because looking at the internet, looking at other kids, I do compare my son sometimes, and I feel bad about it. And I had to grow to learn not to, and understand that in full time he'll develop how he needs to be.
Yes, yes. Yes, Lisette. Hmm. I hope you have learned a little bit. I see another young. Keyon, you're there again. Yes.
Oh yes, I was just listening to the last two speaker, and I remember when my daughter was up to 3, 4 years old, practically. Wait, not 4, but past 2 year old, 3 year old, and when persons look at her, she was this tall child coming up, and so people would think that she's older than what she was, but as mouth to speak. They would take the drawback to say it took so long to speak. And I remember she was doing an exam, we're trying to examine her eyes, and the doctor was she was she was showing like the letters on the wall that she must call, and she was able to call letter so on and so on, but for that or ABC. Like, and I used to feel so bad because other children would be able to say from A to Z, but my daughter could not. And then I started looking at it to say, yes, my daughter cannot, but give her and she'll be able to read the ABC at a very early age. And she took so long to talk properly, but she was, by the time she was able to read, she was reading above her age level. So sometimes we need to give them a little grace.
Yeah,
To
just
develop.
give them, yeah, just leave them alone. My gosh, why are we down on their throat like this, wanting to grow up? Don't you know that those years go so fast? Enjoy, and do not pressure the children. They grow too fast, and then they become a menace to themselves and to others, and they learn all kinds of vices because we push them so much. We need to be careful. So this
Hi,
is
Silver.
middle and late childhood. As I said, when a child is 12, I'm repeating just for emphasis, a child should know his or her purpose in this life. A child should know who his maker is, and a child should know what his maker requires of him
Hear
or
that?
her on this earth. Also, a child should have started to learn a trade, learn to work, learn to use your hands. Very, very important. At 12 years old, a child needs to know already how to do some very important tasks. All right, good. One thing I'm going to say here is that, to finish, is that persons spend, can one of you tell me how many years you spend in school from basic school, right? Preschool or whatever age. At 3 years old, you go. Some people put their babies, little babies who are not even 6 months old yet, in the daycare. So, how many years do we spend at school between baby school to college? Let's say the 4 years of college. How many years that? Anybody can say? You don't know.
More than 20.
Too long.
Yes, it's about 20 years. It's about 20 years that you spend in school. Now, when you are 20 years old, you are in the prime of your youth. That is the time you should be doing the most daring things, the most, the most ambitious things. That's the time that you should do all the things. I'm just plugging this here, right? I'm just plugging this here. But unfortunately, when you leave school, you are about 25 or so, probably a little older, and now you are supposed to pay the debts, the school debts and loans that you have. That's what you spend your time working to do. So by the time you finish paying debts, tell me if I'm talking the truth, because it seems as if I'm just talking to myself now.
Yes, please. Yes,
True.
By the time, if you find a wife or a husband in the middle, you better make sure that person is not in school, because it's going to be a disaster. It's going to be a problem, because both of you will be paying debt, self-servicing debts, and somebody at the bank tells you that the more debt you have, the better off you are. You know. Ah, boy. Okay, so let us see now. Let's move from here to adolescence. So adolescence begins, roughly, because it's not hard and fast rule. Some children get into adolescence earlier than others. Some do get into this stage later than others. But that is the agreed upon range that people will say you're an adolescent. All right. So you have physical changes, and again, this is something you cannot change. It happens. Cognitively, it happens as well, right? It is said that it is only at this stage that persons begin to think abstractly. I do not believe that 1 minute. I don't believe that. You can see that there are some things are out there as information which I do not believe. I do not believe that children or young people begin to think abstractly only at 13, between 13 and 19, right? So I don't believe that. But this happens. This happens also if better, it develops faster if the child is trained to think that way. So you see, as the child grows up, you see that there are some things that you have to, the adults in his life have to really help for these things to develop, right? Hypothetical thinking and all of that develops with guidance and develops with practice and with freedom of thought as well. All right, the psychosocial here, identity versus role confusion. What am I? Am I a girl or am I a boy? Right? Am I your child? Am I
What you
loved?
doing? I'm in class.
Am I
I'm in seminar in
am I
teaching class.
important in
So
your eyes
doing that right now.
as my mother, my
I'm
father, or
so
my
sleepy
caregiver?
though.
Am I
Like
important
I
to
just need
you
about like
as my
half hour to
teacher? Am I
45
important
minutes.
to you in the classroom? Do you pay attention to me when I'm
How are
in
you? What are
class,
you
or do you
doing?
ignore
What are you up
me?
to?
All of these things begin to develop these kinds of thoughts or reactions or thought patterns then begin to develop during adolescence. Some people say that it's a very fragile time when you know when young people now start to um, perceive who they are really and in terms of their personality and their character trait and their motivation in life and what they want and their ambitions and there is a lot on their minds and they want to look a certain way. They want to fit into their peer group. They do not want to stand out, and they have to be taught that personal identity is not dependent on how people see them, but on how God sees them. They have to be taught those things. Otherwise, they will develop warped identities. They will develop role confusion, of course. That is right there for you to see. And so, as parents, we need to understand that we are the ones who are to help our children to understand their worth in God's eyes. All right. Um, Independence. There are parents who are too, how to say now, too controlling, too. They do not give enough freedom to their children. And I'm not saying that to say that you must send your children to all camps, all kinds of camps and whatever. No. Who have too much freedom, they develop violence or not able. Sometimes the parents don't even know that the children are down or gone down those roads. So we have to be very careful of the type of people, our young people, our adolescents are around, because it's a very fragile time in their lives. They need as much support and structure as possible so that they develop the right way. That's very important to not cave under the pressure that the teenagers put on you, parents. They will put pressure because they have to put pressure in order to feel where is it that the boundaries are. I want to know where the boundaries are. If I don't feel the boundaries, I'm going to push and push and push until I find those boundaries. And if there are no boundaries, then I will develop a warped personality. You need to remember that in order for the student or your child to establish a personal identity and correct independence, they need guidance and they need boundaries. Yes, Natalie. Good night, Doc. Just want to ask a question on the matter of the psychosocial identity versus role confusion. In a class of 40 students, you'll have students who want your attention. They want to be that special student. And you have several of them that act that way. How do you go about not trying to show favoritism, but
Benji
to more
go out and
establish
delete
common ground
everything. How
where
would them say
you love
Benji? Maybe
all
me no know what that
students,
mean.
no matter
How when me hear when me
or
say that me
strong
I
they
think
are? How
about
do you go about it?
Burna Boy and his song then
Okay,
him a say in
I'm
a
hearing you
shower.
loudly and clearly. There is a
Sorry me?
principle
Me no
in
know.
the Word of God, right? God makes His sun to shine on everyone, right?
At 8 o'clock.
Are you there? Yes, I'm hearing. Yes. Okay, so I'm saying God
To
makes
me I
His
imagine.
face to
We need
shine
at
on
least 8 memes
everyone.
up.
His light to shine on everyone. When the sun is shining around here,
You're
everywhere
lying.
around the good, the bad, and in between gets the
I did
sunlight.
not know that. That's
But God
mean.
gave us
That's
a
not
way
nice at all.
to come close to Him through
Hey
prayer,
Ranky.
right? So when you are free to go to
That
God
is so rude.
and talk to Him all by
Benji
Himself.
sister we go
So
over
let me tell you what I
600
established in
subs
my class. I had a
today.
second form
629.
for a few years, I think 4 years. I had one second form as my form that I had to manage as a
Yes,
form
yes,
teacher.
yes, yes, yes.
I decided that I have me time with the students. So I came to class earlier than normal, and then I was there for anybody who wants to talk to me. You want to talk to me? Come now. You want to talk to me? Come now. I didn't make any. I didn't single out anyone. I said, "This is it's time for to talk, or whoever wants to talk, you come now, and let's talk." Yeah. Okay. So that is a way that you can do that. You can actually make yourself available, and even though those students that you are who wants the attention, even though they may be among those who are coming, it's not going to be obvious to the others. All right, great, thank you. And I can add something here. I had a student who I knew was not eating properly. He was not eating at home
Today's
because
the
during
man me
every
feed
lunchtime,
me a your
I
biggest
could
fan
I
enough.
could see that
Then
he
me
was just going in the
about
corner
80.
and just being by
Honestly,
himself.
I found it about
So
60
what did
though.
I do?
For about
I bought
60 or
some
80 something.
nutritious things like raisins, and
And now we're
I
growing.
got some bananas and fruits and whatever, and
We feel
I
like
would give
by
them a break, and
the
I would
end
say,
of
okay, it's
January
break
it's
time.
supposed to the
Everybody come and get
1,000
something to eat.
subs by the end of January.
Right. So I never singled him out, but he was filling himself with food.
I'm subscribing, sis. Thank you.
Everybody else was eating. Nobody in the class knew what
More
I knew,
sleeping now.
but I could see that he was feeding himself with food. He was
Me
very
need some
hungry.
matcha or coffee
So
or something. More
there are
sleep.
ways and means, and if you talk to God, He will tell you, because those things don't come from me. They come from God. I send it as a prayer and say, God, what I must do? How must I address this? And He just download something in my brain, just like the computer.
Hi,
Download it. Seriously, believe me.
Joshua.
It happens every time. All right, Alexia.
Miss, I think this class has been so profound so far. I think I speak for the fellow parents that are in the group as well, that you're really jacking my brain. And it was so profound when you spoke about setting boundaries for the adolescents and also giving them a bit of freedom. I have a teenager in my home now, and I have a challenge with that. But then I'm
Yeah,
laying here and I was gonna
for
ask
real.
you, how do I how do I find a middle ground of the boundaries and the freedom? But then I remembered at the beginning of the class when you reiterated that we must not lean on our own understanding. and it came to me like, wow. And you just said it just now, like, just talk to him and just let him download something in your brain. And once you just put
Yes.
on him, you won't feel as
They love
overwhelmed that it's all on
conversation.
you.
They love when me talk. Last night we get
He
30
does not
something
fail. God
subscribers.
doesn't lie. When
Last
he
night.
says, come to me and ask
Today
me,
we get
I'm there.
like
The other day someone was, I'm close to the
six,
end of this
seven so far.
class. I'm going to let you go a little earlier than 8:30 today. Um,
She make we
Somebody
go earlier
said,
than 8:30.
oh boy, I forgot what I was going to tell you. But yes, you can talk to God. You can go to him and say anything. God can take it. God can take your anger. He can take your distress. He can take your fear. He can take anything you bring to him and replace it with his calm, his grace, his whatever it is you need, he will give you. I'm telling you, it's a guarantee. If you go to him and you ask him for anything, that's what he wrote in his word, he will give it. So
Because Miss, I have a 15-year-old, 11-year-old, and a 3-year-old. So it's just so much personalities, and two of the children aren't my biologically, but their mother passed away. So especially coming in that capacity as well has already been a challenge. But I think what happens as parents and probably as educators is that sometimes we're so caught up in the moment of doing that we know that we're supposed to rely on God, but in the moment you don't even remember, like you're just flustered. So you just
but
don't remember to
just tell God the challenge you have with remembering. Just tell him as it is. God, I forget. I keep forgetting. Please remind me. Just jog me. Just make me remember I can't. I can't. I can't do anything right. I'm a sinner. You said that. You said that I can't do anything right. So I am acknowledging that I cannot do anything right. So I need your help. Please help.
Yes,
By the
yes, thank you.
power of the blood of Jesus Christ. You need to say those words. Because when you say those words, you allow the Spirit of God to work for you. Yep. Say those words. Call on the resurrection power of Jesus Christ and his blood shed on Calvary. When you pray those things, trust me, God opens ways and means to bless you. So don't give up. A lot of people do the wrong thing with their teenagers because they just forget about kindness and patience, and you get angry with a teenager when if you were calm and patient, you would hear their you would be able to see through their eyes and hear God telling you what to do. They're not so hard to deal with. It's just us who are hard to hear God. All right. So I think I'm going to stop right there at adolescence. You know what adolescence does to us. It confuses us. All right. So let us stop here. I think I should stop here. And then next time we come to class, we will go to death. We will not die, but we will go there. Okay. So young people, as I said to you, I am not going to um I'm not going to deal with any register today. I've allowed everybody to come to class. It is now 38 persons on. I hope that next time we have all of the others who were absent today so that we have a full complement of the class. And then next time I will let you know whose group you belong to so that you know where to go. When I say group 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you will know where to go. All right, any last word, anybody? Because I'm going to give you the blessing of the night. Abigail, I see your hand.
Oh, Miss, I have a feedback on something and then a question afterwards. So, as you guys were closing out and we're giving like how you guys kind of regulate your emotions, etc., I think that it's important that, well, I'm not a parent, but one thing I wish to implement, if God permits, is to help them to find that comfort or that surety that you can come to God with everything, because a lot of us, well, I heard one person say tonight that they're just learning that, or they're being open to knowing about that. But if we as adults or young adults are just learning that, imagine children that are not able to regulate their emotions properly. So I think from early on it is important to kind of give them little practices. Oh, you feel angry, put that emotion to God. You feel certain type of discomfort, you feel frustrated, put that emotion to God. However it is, you can structure that little prayer, put that to God, and I think that will transcend in their daily lives as they go forward, especially as they turn into like adolescents. It will give them that comfort that they can always go to God, like God is a constant for them.
That's right. That's a very good word, Abigail, that you have said. And as I said before, as I was going through this, it is the parent who needs to teach the child until he or she can place the child's hand into God's hand, so that God Himself can lead the child. It's very important that you behave like God, because that's the only way the child will learn about God. It is through you. And if the child has a warped uh, picture of God in his or her brain, then the child is going to develop a warped relationship with God. If you are always angry with the child will feel that God is always angry with him or her. If you are lax with the child and everything the child asks you, he or she gets, then the child will feel that God is just like that. So we have to be careful how we behave, because we have an awesome responsibility to groom children to be reflections of God's will, and we have to put their hand in God's hand. Because remember Joseph, when he left his father, when he was sold to the Egyptians, he was very young. But at that time in his life, he already had learned to talk to his God. He already had learned what the law requires, and he was able to stand firm in Egypt. Remember that? Very young, in his teens. He was a little teenager when he was sold by his brothers. Yes, Lisette. And then we will end.
Yes, I was thinking that maybe it's a good idea for you to repeat the rules for those who came late so they can be better prepared moving forward.
I am not going to do that, Lisette. I am going to do it next time. I am going to do it next time. And you know why? Because next time I will put you in the groups, really, and I will do it. I have a method of doing it. So we'll do it next time, Lisette. Don't worry about it. But I can say what they are. There is the recorder, the reporter, the social skills person, and the materials person. So that is it for the repetition. All right. Okay, people. I pray God's blessing on you. Um, and I hope you get to do your reading. You can't do your reading if you do not have the books that you need to read in order to, glean probably some more terms. I don't know what you have gleaned tonight, but you should have gleaned at least 10 words that you can put in your glossary. And once you get on the LMS, it will tell you when to upload each assignment. All right. If there is any challenge, we will deal with it next time. Okay. If you have a problem with uploading and all of that, leave that for next time. We will deal with it next time. All right, Chinese.
Yes, Miss. Can you repeat where we should find Miss Smith for the book?
Oh, in the department. Just call the Department of Graduate Education and Leadership and ask to speak to Miss Smith.
Okay, thanks much.
Once you order the book, she will get it printed for you, but we don't print them to put them down. So you need to order, and you need to do that quickly. All right, all of you, I hope you heard that. It will help you to go through a lot of the synopses very quickly so that you have a good idea of what's going on in those 3 units. All right, otherwise you'll have to get the real book, which cost much more money. A book on developmental psychology, a book on teaching and learning, and also a book on adult education. So if you do not want to do that, because this is really an overview, this is not a deep study of these things, you can get this one here. I don't remember the price, but I don't think it's even 3,000 or $4,000. I'm not sure what the price is, but you can ask Miss Smith. All right. Now, may the Lord bless you and keep you until we meet again on Thursday. Same time, same place. Bye, everyone.
Thank you much. Good night, everybody.
Yes.
Good night, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes.
And that commences that class. I'm going to take a short 30-minute nap because I am so sleepy. And I have an assignment. I have 2 assignments to do. So I'm going to submit one of them tonight. So thank you guys for staying on here with me. For tonight, I'm going to take a nap. Yeah. And then I'm going to do some work at 9 o'clock. Me and one of my colleagues are going to lock in on some work. Yeah, because we just have to hold each other accountable. Trust me, it's not easy working from 8 to 3. Go over that time because you're marking projects, papers, etc. And then on top of that, you're gonna have to mark. You have your classes from 5:30 to 8:30. Then after that, you have to do assignments and stuff related to those topics. So it's a lot, to be honest. So I'm going to take a quick nap. I need a quick power nap, and then we will catch up afterwards. I love you guys. Thank you for keeping me company. I'll be back on in a few minutes, I think. If not, then I'm sleeping. Good night, guys.